ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a Canadian animated film from 1983. That movie is Rock and Rule. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I do happen to remember seeing a trailer for this thing. God, it must have been at least 7 years ago. I kind of stumbled on the trailer once. I believe I was on YouTube and I watched it and I thought, you know, this looks sort of cool. But I couldn't tell you a single thing from that trailer, and I never bothered to, look it up. But I then saw that it was on DVD, and I decided to throw it on the wish list, and thankfully somebody sent it in. Now, I have high hopes on this film, but I'm going into this a little bit wary, and it's something that you can't really make out on the cover, but it's the company that put the movie out. That company, let me put this up real close, is Unearthed Films. I've covered one other movie that was put out by Unearthed Films, and it was the absolutely ungodly abomination Where the Dead Go to Die. So this company has already shown that their standards are ridiculously low when it comes to movies that they pick up and put out on Blu-ray. I'm hoping for Rock and Rule to change that trend. Good God, do I ever want it to change that trend. But the only way I'm going to find out if this movie is any good at all is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Rock and Rule. Well, guys, I am honestly able to say that, if anything else, at least the music in this movie is amazing. I am loving this stuff, guys. Well, guys, you know, Mock is obviously evil, like painfully obviously so. But goddamn, the man certainly knows how to make an awesome fucking entrance. That was really fucking cool, guys. Okay, guys, so we have just been introduced to Cindy. Cindy's accent has changed at least 3 times in the scant minute and a half or so that we have met her, or since we've met her. It'd be great if this actress could pick one accent and stick with it. It would also help if Cindy wasn't amazingly irritating, but you know what? I would be totally happy if she was fucking irritating as shit, but at least could keep an accent straight, you know? It's just kind of bugging me a little bit. You know, guys, I commented earlier that this film's got an amazing soundtrack. But guys, I'm going to tell you, Mock's song is probably the best one so far, and that is saying a lot, because everything else in this thing's been amazing. This song's even better. I am totally digging this, man. Well, guys, that was Rock and Rule. Let's shut that off. Man, that was a good way to end that. Okay. So, normally, for those of you who've watched a lot of my show, you know oftentimes I start with the writing. I'm not going to start with the writing this time. I'm going to start with the soundtrack. The reason why I'm going to start with the soundtrack is because that's what the movie wanted to focus on. In fact, honestly, guys, the opening credits are literally the film's title and then the list of bands whose music is featured on the soundtrack. It was like, yes, we have songs from Cheap Trick and Earth, Wind and Fire and Iggy Pop and Debbie Harry. Oh, and it stars these couple of people, but you know what? Fuck them. We have Cheap Trick. And you know what? The soundtrack? Amazing. I cannot think of a single bad song in this entire film. The only thing which kind of sucks is, from everything I have read, there was never an official soundtrack put out. So the only way I'm ever going to be able to find any of these songs is if any of these artists or bands put these songs out themselves. And god damn it, I'm really hoping that most of them did, because a lot of this music, well actually fuck, all of this music was absolutely amazing. Not only is the soundtrack good, but also the score for this movie is also amazing. Musically, this film is a masterpiece. And it really is worth, checking out, if for no other reason than to see how awesome that soundtrack is. Now, let's talk about the rest of the film. Why don't we focus on the writing? Our story here is kind of sort of a twist on the story of Faust, the story of a man who sells his soul to the devil for, fame, fortune, yada, yada, yada. It is a story that has been done dozens of times. It has been done well. It's been done poorly. This one, though, it's not really a deal with the devil as much as uh, a woman makes a deal. A singer makes a deal with this ultra powerful rock star who's trying to raise a demon. In order to raise said demon, he needs one certain voice. And her voice just happens to be it. So he pressures her into going along with this deal, so he can have his demon and take said demon's powers. It is really a fascinating take on these kind of sort of, like Faustian stories, and I'm absolutely digging that. It was really a well done story there. Our characters here are fleshed out in a really fantastic way. Every character you see who is actually given a name, is given any level of screen time, has at least some level of depth to them. And considering the fact that this movie is less than an hour and 20 minutes long, the fact that they were able to flesh out their entire cast and flesh them out beautifully, that is a stunning achievement. That they were able to flesh out every single one of these characters and still tell a fantastic story in such a tight time frame. That is absolutely amazing. Now, I know some people are probably looking at this and they're probably thinking, well, the movie's obviously animated, so it's probably for kids. And I'm going to warn you right now, this might not be the kind of movie you want to show to children. It honestly doesn't have anything, it doesn't have anything extreme in terms of violence or sex or gore or even language. It's just that there are quite a few scenes involving drug use or hinting at drugs, hinting at sex. It's all just it all basically is like the kind of stuff that I know that a whole lot of parents today don't like to show their kids. So you might not want to show this to your children until they're, I'd say, probably about 10, maybe 12, because then they might be old enough to actually handle a whole lot of the themes here and handle them well. But honestly, once more, nothing in here is honestly that, horrible that it would scar children. It would just leave children asking exactly why somebody is getting a tattoo of a naked fucking mermaid on the back of their skull, and exactly why we can see the, mermaid's, nipples. That honestly is the kind of thing that kids are almost bound to ask her. What exactly is Mock smoking and snorting in the final act? And if you don't want to answer those sorts of questions for your kids, then don't show this to them. However, for everybody else, if those kinds of minor things are going to be enough to set you off and not make you want to watch a movie, then by all means you're probably not going to want to watch this. However, for everybody else, content here is honestly a little bit fucking extreme, even for a PG rating. And I understand the movie came out in 1983. We didn't have a PG-13 rating yet. And if it were re-rated today, it would probably score a PG-13, if not a straight R, specifically for drug use and that one shot of a naked mermaid tattoo. But again, that's just me wibbling on about ratings and other stupid bullshit that nobody else cares about. And, well, a lot of that has to do with the content of the film, kind of segued out of writing for that. Writing here, though, once more, really solid. I was absolutely digging it. Acting. The acting here is also really solid. I do have one comment, though, and that is one member of our cast is a man by the name of Don Franks, who is cast to play multiple roles. Unfortunately, the man doesn't have a whole lot of range, it seems, so almost every character sounds very similar, if not exactly the same. So even though he is the voice of Mock, he also is the voice of one of Mock's henchmen. In fact, it's his lead henchman, Toad. The two of them sound sound almost disturbingly similar. And when the two of them have to talk to each other, it really is just simply the fact that Mock's voice is just a hair deeper. That honestly is like the one and only difference. And Frank's plays at least 4 other characters, almost all of them with the very same voice. Once more, just basically a hair higher or a hair lower in pitch. The man honestly can act, and he can act very, very well. It's just he doesn't really have the range to play multiple characters, and they could probably have cast at least one more person in this thing and had them take over at least a couple of the roles that Franks was forced to fill because of the limited cast size this film already has. Now, that honestly is a minor issue, and once more, it's one of those things that really only is going to bother people like me. But still, I do kind of feel that it is worth mentioning. And the acting here is really solid. It's just, again, one actor with very, very little range being forced to play that many actors, it is going to be noticeable, and it gets noticeable real fast. The acting's still solid, though, so I honestly am just sort of wibbling about nothing there. Anyway, let's see. I've covered soundtrack, covered writing, covered animation. I was a little bit worried when I found out that this film was was done by Canadian animation studio Nelvana. The reason why I was sort of worried about that is because I've seen a lot of their television work, and a lot of their television work from the 80s and 90s all screamed of cheapness. It all looked a little bit cheap, and I was kind of sort of afraid that when you give them some kind of a budget and you give them some kind of like a theatrical work to work with, or correction, actually have them work on a theatrical film, they were going to turn in similar, somewhat slightly cheap animation. That is not the case here. I was absolutely shocked at what I was seeing here, because it is absolutely the best animation I've ever seen from this studio. It just absolutely floored me, and it shows me that I really shouldn't worry about animation studios when you give them a, theatrical bid, because they might actually turn in something awesome. And yeah, I honestly, guys, am going to say this. They did a fantastic job animating this. Bravo to every single animator who worked on this. They absolutely knocked this thing out of the park, especially compared to all of their television output, which is vastly inferior to this in terms of just animation quality and line work and art style. This thing absolutely shines there. Sorry, guys, for the bit of a jump cut there. I kind of had to step away for a minute and go take care of something. I'm back now. What the hell was I talking about when I had to step away? Oh yeah, lighting effects. Okay, so I don't know if this is the Blu-ray. I don't know if it was the film itself. But there are certain cases where our lighting effects, especially in terms of lit up like lettering, especially on a note, on a little post, or not a postcard, but almost like a business card that Mock gives to Angel pretty early in the film. The text is supposed to light up and kind of sort of bounce off of the card, but it leads to this horrible amount of bleed, and it makes the card just a hair difficult to read. Again, I don't know if that's because of something that they did when they mastered the Blu-ray. I don't know if it was just a bad copy of the master when they made the Blu-ray. Maybe it's a problem that's always been there. I'm not totally sure. Really, I do not care, because you can still read it. It's just kind of difficult. It is a minor nothing, and again, I'm really used to mentioning minor nothings that seem to only bother me. So, guys, is there anything else I really have to talk about? See, sound mix here is really solid. I did read somewhere that this version of the film recast one of our leads, and in this version of the film, Omar is played by a different actor. I don't know why they opted to recast him for, I believe this is the US edit of the film. I really have no idea. Really, I don't even care. I do know that the other cut of this film is also on the Blu-ray disc, which features the other voice actor. I'm going to tell you, though, almost any other time that a movie or a show has to try to loop in new fucking dialogue from from a new actor, it usually sounds really off, and you can definitely tell it's not part of the same soundtrack. Here, guys, it blends perfectly. That's something that I've almost never seen, so I do have to give them props there. Our sound mix is that well done. Ultimately, guys, when all is said and done, I'm able to recommend Rock and Rule. You bet your sweet ass I do. This movie is amazing. This is one of the best musicals I've seen on this show in a long time. Now, guys, mind you, I have covered a lot of awesome musicals in this series. I have covered Repo. I have covered Rock of Ages. This sucker definitely ranks up there with them. It is that fucking cool. I loved every second of this movie, and I'm probably going to spend the next few hours attempting to find the soundtrack to this thing, or at least find as many of the songs that came out afterwards, so I can put them all on my fucking, iPod so I can give them a listen later. My God, it is really getting hot in here. Anyway, guys, now because it's Fan Appreciation Month, Rock and Rule came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Jordan. Sorry, I had to look it up. Please, guys, by all means, swing on over and check out everything that Jordan has. I believe right now she has only one video up, but she's planning on making more, according to what I've been told. Jordan, I thank you. I was really curious about this thing. I had been curious about it for a long time, and when you sent it in, I was so happy. In fact, I actually had a different movie scheduled for this, and then this thing came in, and I immediately bumped that film. This is actually the third time I've bumped that movie, I should mention. I'm a little bit fucking wary on it. And I put this thing in. I wanted to watch it that badly. And because you sent it in, I finally had my chance. I thank you. Once more, guys, please head on over to Jordan's channel. I'm going to provide a link, as always, in this video's description. Please swing over there. Check out her one video. Hopefully she'll have up more by the time I upload this. Anyway, guys, as I stated just a moment ago, I'm going to go try to find as many of the songs that were featured in this movie as I possibly can. Because, goddammit, I really want to put them on my fucking iPod so I can give them a listen later. The music is that good in this movie. So I'm going to go do that, guys. And with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future.